pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Dr. Fike? Here. Mr. Frond?
Here.
Mrs. Geyer? Here. Mr. Lizza?
Here.
Mrs. O'Rear? Mr. Polakowski?
Here.
Mr. Shipley?
Here.
Mrs. Smith? Mrs. Williams?
Here.
Tyson Martin? Brighton Montgomery?
Here.
Just want to announce that we were in executive session prior to this for legal and personnel matters, and that Mrs. O'Rear asked to be excused this evening. Do we have any citizens' comments pertaining to the agenda?
We do not at this time.
Okay. Minutes of the March 10th, 2022 meeting.
The board is asked to approve the minutes of the March 10th, 2022 voting discussion meeting.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes of March 17, 2022.
The board is asked to approve the minutes of the March 17th, 2022 voting meeting.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second. Discussion. Voice vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Monthly board treasurer's report.
The board is asked to approve the treasurer's report for the month of February 2022.
I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Dr. Fike? Yes. Mr. Frond?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer? Yes. Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
General Fund Board Summary Report.
The board is asked to approve the board summary report for February.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Frond?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Yes. Dr. Fike? Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Accounting and food service check summary listing.
The board is asked to approve the fund accounting and food service check summary listing for March.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Yes. Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Frond?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Budget transfer.
The board is asked to approve the budget transfer of $1,815 to cover the cost of Dr. Dan Clara attending the band field trip.
I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Are we going to revisit the policy regarding this? Okay.
Yeah, that'd be policy 121 that we're currently working on.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Yes. Dr. Fike? Yes. Mr. Frond?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer? Yes. Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 to 1, 1 absent.
Cyber charter expense analysis.
Anything new to that? That was for informational purposes.
That was for informational purposes only. As you can see, year-to-date through February 28th of 2022, we are still down from our expenditures of the 2021 fiscal year. It is my hope that we will come in around what was budgeted this year, but obviously I'll continue to monitor that and let you know.
Thank you. Any other discussion on that? Building Activity Fund information.
Once again, that's for informational purposes.
And who's going to be addressing that subject?
The Building Activity Fund, I know there were some questions in regard to some information that was presented in regard to the yearbook fund. I believe that Mrs. Herman had shared that information with you, Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Superintendent information.
I'm sorry, I have a lot of, we're in the midst of testing, so I just want to make sure everyone's aware of things. I want to thank the guidance counselors and the teachers and the students. We had PSSA ELA tests were given on April 25th, 26th, and 27th, so we are finished with the ELA PSSAs. The math PSSA test will be given on May 2nd and May 3rd, and the PSSA science test will be given on May 4th and 5th. The Keystone Algebra 1 test at the middle school will be given on May 16th and May 17th, and all test makeups must be completed by May 25th to allow for the proper test security and packing of those back to the DRC. Some information concerning the high school. Keystone Literature test will be taken on May 16th and 17th. The Keystone Biology test will be taken on May 18th and 19th. The Keystone Algebra test will be taken on May 23rd and 24th. And we are also moving into the Advanced Placement Exam testing window. So on Monday, May 2nd in the morning, AP US Government will be given, and in the afternoon, the AP Chemistry test will be given. On Wednesday, May 4th, the AP English Literature test will be given. On Thursday, May 5th, the AP Statistics test will be given. On Friday, May 6th in the morning, the AP European History test will be given. And in the afternoon, the AP US History test will be given. On Monday, May 9th, the AP Calculus test will be given. On Tuesday, May 10th, the AP English Language test will be given. On Wednesday, May 11th, the AP Biology test will be given. On Thursday, May 12th in the morning, the AP World History will be given, and in the afternoon, the AP Physics 1 will be given, and on Friday, May 13th, the AP Music Theory test will be given. Also, at the May 12th board meeting, the administration will present the 2021 PSSA Keystone data, and at the same meeting, the district's 3-year academic and long-range plan will be presented. And that is all I have. Sorry for all the testing information.
Is that up on the website somewhere?
I can put it up there. It's on the individual schools, that I will make sure it's posted.
Do you have a rough idea how many students take the advanced placement tests?
It differs by the
Subject.
test itself.
Is there very many?
Yeah, there's a fair number of kids that take it. I can try to have numbers for you.
No. I just was wondering if you had an idea.
Any questions on any of that? Okay, Business Manager, Transportation Director information.
Yes, I'm happy to say that Mrs. Geyer, myself, and Mrs. Jezik attended training again this past week with BusBoss. We currently have all of our current routes in the BusBoss system. We are working on updating anything that has happened since the initial data dump was given to BusBoss. So we're working on that in earnest and looking forward to utilizing the new system. CSIU, which is our financial application. Today we had that our current information, which is in the FoxPro system, loaded into the FIS system. So now the CSIU is now in what they call the sandbox portion. I can tell you that my ladies in the office have worked very hard in data cleanup from our current information to get everything ready to be pulled over into the sandbox system. Tomorrow we begin training in the new system. First, Mr. Smithola and I will be working with the security of CSIU. Then we will have the majority of my ladies in the office. I'll have a meeting in the afternoon in regard to navigation of the new system, and we will continue moving forward. Becky, Mrs. Rodriguez, will actually run 2 payrolls in conjunction with the old Fox Pro and Fizz at the same time to make sure that everything is proper and works properly. So we've got a lot of that type of stuff going on. I'm also working in earnest with the budget. I'm waiting for one more piece to come in, which is the homestead farmstead allocation from the state. With that, then I'm going to set up a meeting. I've already started working on my presentation today for the Finance Committee to show them where we are in conjunction with the 3-year plan. I've been adding some of those items in as well and doing some reconciliation between the ESSERS 3 to make sure what we're expending this year and what we're spending next year. So that'll be coming next week as well.
Do you know when, so you're planning next week for that meeting?
That
Can you maybe get a date to Peggy and Mrs. Smith?
Sure.
I won't be available next week. And then we can get that advertised because that'll have to be advertised.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Is that all you have?
That's all I have. Yes, thank you.
Solicitor information?
I have no information to present to the board at this time.
Thank you. Students report.
First off, I'd like to say congratulations to March Scotty Scholar, Bright Montgomery. That's myself. Congratulations also to March's Spirit of Southmoreland student Emily Snyder. For Bots IQ, this year Bots IQ has returned to a normal for 12 students participating in Mr. Sherrick's competitive robotics course. The year-long course begins in September, developing a working prototype of what will eventually become a 15-pound battle bot that will compete against area high schools. This year's robot, Roman's Revenge, features a horizontal spinning weapon, a 4-wheel drive robot. Students reinforced the engineering design process through CAD skills and machining skills by constructing the entire robot start to finish. In February, students toured local machine shop and team sponsor Reynolds Machine Shop, who used their water jet to process the profile cuts of the robot's frame pieces, a process that uses compressed water, air, and fine sand to cut through aluminum start to finish in 30 minutes. The team competed at our regional preliminary competition on March 15th at WCCC. They had 1 win against Springdale High School and 2 losses against West Screen and Mon Valley CTC. Preparations are currently underway to participate in the final competitions at Cal U on April 29th and 30th. The competition venue will be open to the public and live streamed at botsiqpa.org/competitions for more information. We'd like to also thank Mr. Pollard and the students in the commercial graphics for the design and development of team t-shirts. On Thursday, March 31st, 18 students from Southmoreland High School, under the guidance of Mrs. Pushkar and Mr. Sherrick, assisted the 4th grade students in preparation for the upcoming science PSSA tests. The high school students presented and provided hands-on learning modules to the 4th graders on basic electricity, open and closed circuits, insulators and conductors, series and parallel circuits, and a brief introduction to programming with Arduinos to help reinforce concepts that are covered on the upcoming PSSA exams. Each 4th grade class had the opportunity to visit and rotate through the different modules. Both the high school students and elementary students enjoyed the experience. Henry Miller recently won the PIA AA swimming state gold in the 100 butterfly. He also brought home a bronze medal in the 100 breaststroke. The high school life skills program wanted to extend its thanks to the school board for supporting this program this year. With the lifting of COVID restrictions, the life skills program has begun to introduce the food preparation and cooking skills portion of the program. Students will be able to move from the planning of a meal to making ingredients/grocery lists, shopping for the items, and then full meal preparation. Students will be able to put into action their measurement and money skills along with reading comprehension skills. For the marching band, it has been an exciting year for much of our music program. On Friday, March 18th, the Southmoreland Marching Band had the honor to be invited to march in the Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom Parade. 55 band members traveled to Florida and represented our school and community to a crowd of thousands. The next big event for the marching band is the bingo fundraiser on April 24th and the Memorial Day performance in Scottsdale. It is with great pride that we acknowledge the years of dedication and hard work that allowed 3 of our students to participate in the All-State Music Finals. Eric Barber is a senior trombonist that will be attending Penn State University in fall of 2022 to major in music education. He was selected for the All-State Orchestra, ranking in the top trombonists in the state. Nolan Blaze was a member of the 240 student choir that represented the top vocalists from all over PA. Nolan is a sophomore at Southmoreland High School and has progressed through the band festivals on bari saxophone and tenor voice in the choir. Christopher Headley is also a sophomore. He was a part of the French horn section in the concert band. These 3 young men are among the top 5% across the state. They were under direction of the 3 of the top conductors in the nation. The accolades of these students cannot be overstated. They endured rigorous auditions and advanced to perform among the top high school musicians in the state. Eric will graduate and attend a top music school with honors and a generous scholarship, and Chris and Nolan will have the opportunity to audition to perform at the national level next fall at the National Association for Music Education All-Nation Festival, where they will compete with the musicians across the United States. For the musical, after nearly 5 months of planning and rehearsals, nearly 60 high school students performed the 2022 Southmoreland musical production of Anything Goes from March 31st to April 3rd. With an audience totaling just over 1,400 in attendance, the students and staff were grateful for the support from the parents, community, facility, administration, and school board. A special thank you to the facility, administration, and school board in attendance. It meant so much to all those involved to see those administrators and staff that took the time to support the students' hard work as audience members. We are pleased to announce that the Southmoreland School District has been recognized for the 3rd consecutive year as Best Community Music Education School from the NAMM Foundation. We are thankful for those administrators, board members, faculty, parents, community members, and businesses that have supported the students and staff over the last years, not only in music, but in the entire fine arts department. The dedication and involvement of the students in our schools and in the community programs was the largest support for receiving the award. This recognition was based on the 2020-2021 school year. We hope to receive this national recognition in the future, but may not be eligible due to repercussions that accompany the decision to not replace one of our music positions that will following a recent retirement. The elementary and middle school choirs at the Pirate Game. The Southmoreland School District's elementary and middle school courses have been selected to perform the national anthem at PNC Park for the Pirates game on May 15, 2022. Both courses have performed annually for the Pirates for numerous years. And the middle school and high school spring concert band is on Wednesday, May 11th. The elementary and middle school choir concert is on Thursday, May 19th. And the solo and small ensembles concert is tentatively set for Monday, May 16th. That's all I have.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? CWCTC report.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. That's me. We had our meeting last month. A couple things that were on the agenda. They told us that 1,238 total students will be attending the CWCTC next year, which is a great increase. Along with that increase, the cost per student for every district is actually going down, which is good for the districts. We did vote to curtail the logistics program. In place of that, we voted to create a robotics, engineering, and manufacturing program, which sounds very exciting and seems like something that a lot of kids will want to participate in. The culinary arts students recently participated in the state competition, and they had Adam Butts from Mount Pleasant took the gold in culinary arts star event. The first place team for the food innovations event was made up of Zoe Yeager-Rigby from Penn Trafford, Preya Hartzell from Hempfield, and Andrew Rutkowski from Hempfield. So all of these gold medalists get to now compete at nationals in San Diego, California. So they are also doing a skills competition. It was held a week ago, I believe, in Hershey, and we should get those results for the next meeting.
WIU report.
We met at the IU yesterday, starting at 11:30 in the morning, and we went until about 8:15 at night. It was like a 9-hour meeting, and it consisted of a number of components, which I will review very briefly. The first thing we did after lunch was we toured the Clearview school building, and we were very impressed with the advanced electronic equipment that is used to maximize the potential of those students. We came back, and at 1:30, we had what was called inside-outside circle presentations. And what that was is they divided the administration up into 6 groups, and they divided the board up into 6 groups, and we rotated. We rotated through those for a period of time with each one. The first was on curriculum services, and it was very instructional, talked about many of the issues that are of great concern. The second one was about, they talked a lot about STEM, and there seems to be, there's not a lot of coherent approaches to the STEM teaching. People are doing different things in different ways. And one thing that is available to our teachers is the STEM materials that are very extensive and readily available at the IU, and we are encouraging our teachers to use them. And then we had a little program on relationships, and they talk about in terms of the relationships between organizations and the community. It's not interpersonal, but they talked a lot about the differences in opinions about, what people think of different schools. We talked about the Early Intervention Childhood Program. They have 437 students in there. These are for children who are 3 to 5 years old. It's different than if you look at pre-K and things like that. These early intervention children are those who've been referred by pediatricians and parents who have specific needs that are a concern. We had a session on recruitment and onboarding of employees and how they are approaching advertising their positions, doing their applications, and so forth. I did a lot about that. Then at 2:45, the man spoke. His name is David Schapp. He's the president of all of the intermediate unit school boards, and now he has been elected to be the president or the director of the Pennsylvania School Boards Association. And he talked about what makes a successful board. And a lot of the things that he talked about are some things that are clearly important. He stressed that when you're on a board, a good board will think long term about everything. You get caught up in just putting out fires and not looking ahead of things. Talked about how to use data effectively, and he said that data should determine decisions. He also said, look at the question, why are people resigning? Why do people leave a school district? Do you have a retention plan? He talked about this long-range strategic planning in terms of your goals, what any board wants to achieve, goals for whatever organization they represent. He said you need to identify problems, major issues, and concerns. Then you have to develop solutions. But he said the weakness comes when you don't follow up on whether or not those things are either resolved, were the solutions good, did they work, did they not work. He talked about I'll get back to this later, about not micromanaging. No one person has the right to do certain things. He said to keep meetings and sessions very short. And he talked about evaluations, and he said that there's a lot of concern because most evaluations are done with checklists. And he said that these are very subjective. For example, if you were to ask everybody here to define the word proficient, you could get 6, 7, 8 different answers. What does needs improvement mean? He laughed. He said there isn't anything on earth that doesn't need improved. How do you define excellence and so forth? So he talked about that. And then at 3:30 to 4 o'clock, and this doesn't really apply a lot to us, but they talked about marketing. And We don't really market our schools. We're here. We don't do that. But it is important for people who give a specific service, like an IU. They really need to get out there. The VOTEC did it this year. They engaged in a very strong marketing program, and it worked for them because they now have many, many, many more students because people now understand what they have to offer. And then after that, we heard from Dr. John George from 4 to 4:30. He's an IU executive director, and he talked about the difference between being on different boards. IU boards are different from school boards, which are different from financial boards and so forth. And he said there's a tremendous difference among that. But he said a lot of the problems that the IUs have is they have no taxing authority. They can't raise taxes. They don't have that ability. And they have to wait every year to see what kind of funding they're going to get. I did not know that preschool, pre-K, and Head Start are grants, Pennsylvania grants. But this is what he said. He said, in closing, he said, there's a big, big, big issue coming down the road, and he doesn't know how it's going to go. And that is the issue of school choice. And he said, if school choice, for example, becomes the law, we better be ready to adapt to what's going to happen. School choice is a really big issue. The last presentation was given by the Beard Legal Group, and he talked about a number of things. One of which he said was a main concern across the state is how the Sunshine Act is being used. There are things that there's a list of things that are allowed to be discussed in Sunshine Acts, but he said there's a real difference how people are interpreting them and what they're doing with that, and there is a concern for that. He said that he talked about policies, and most people are using what's called the PSBA policy service. Okay, he said that's okay. He says that's okay, but he said people are getting them and they're copying them carte blanche, and they're not adapting them to the specific needs of the district. They're just taking them, putting them in the book or update. He said you really have to adapt them to the individual district. They have 534 individual, he talked about administrative regulations. Administrative regulations are what goes along with policies. The policy tells you what to do, but the administrative regulations tell you how you do it. Who's supposed to do it? Who's responsible? Who should do this? And he did say that if you're going to use the PSBA policy service, go the extra money and get the administrative regulations that go with it, because people don't have them. They just simply don't have them. They haven't been developed. He also said that many of the policies that have been put in place are being challenged across the state. He said there's been a lot of actions. A lot of actions are being taken to challenge these policies. They're not cast in stone. He said it's pretty difficult. But the last part of his presentation, and he gave us a handout, he said the biggest problem in Pennsylvania are the actions of individual board members. He gave us information on it. If you're interested in, we can give it to you. This is being challenged in the courts. The actions of school board members is being challenged in the courts, and it's become a very, very serious problem. This law firm represents districts statewide, and but anyhow, and then after that we had the regular meeting. We had an executive session. There were a number of serious personnel items, but the rest of the meeting was pretty much routine. It was the finances, the minutes and things like that. There was nothing exceptional. But overall, it was quite a day. It was, like I said, it was about 9 hours long, well attended, very well prepared. Pam, I wanted to give you one thing here. We had a presentation. Do you know what Enviro 21 is?
I do not.
Okay. You don't have to get paper bids anymore.
Oh.
You don't have to get paper bids. You go on this these people have been doing this since 2016. And what you do is you go on there, you state what your product is. Say you're buying pencils, okay? And you just start to bid. Now, other people are bidding against you, but you don't know who they are. You know what the bids are, but you don't know who they are. Nobody's allowed to bid until they're vetted as a good provider. For example, if you wanted somebody to do construction, no Tom, Dick, and Harry fly-by-night operation can do that. But you no longer have to have paper bids. And this was, they said this is becoming very popular now. And I just wanted to share that with you, Pam, if you would like to have this information.
Okay, thank you.
Getting the best possible price, right?
I'd have to see how it's structured.
PSBA liaison report.
If I take a picture.
So, a package of bills aimed at improving mental health services and education at public schools moved through the House floor on Monday. One bill permits school districts to contract with third-party licensed providers for mental health counselors based inside school buildings and establishes a grant program to help fund this initiative. The second bill tasks Pennsylvania Department of Education to develop a model mental health curriculum, while the third calls on the department to initiate a study on how mental health education is currently offered in public schools. The bills moved out of the House Education Committee with near unanimous support. On Thursday, April 14th, the U.S. Department of Education released its 2022 Agency Equity Plan. The plan's release follows an executive order from the Biden-Harris administration entitled Advancing Racial Equity and Support for Underserved Communities Through the Federal Government. Speaking on the action plan, Education Secretary Miguel Cardona said, "We need to keep the focus on transforming our education system so it truly expands opportunity for all students, no matter their race, background, zip code, age, or family's income. Together, we must take bold action to ensure our nation's schools are defined not by disparities, but by equity and excellence, especially as we recover from the pandemic and reemerge stronger than before." The plan consists of additional efforts to promote equity, including 1, prioritizing access to and completion of an education beyond high school, 2, ensuring equitable impact of American Rescue Plan's $130 billion in funding for K-12 students, 3, investing in resources to help advance civil rights, 4, advancing equity in contracting and procurement, and 5, advancing equity in grant process strategies. That's all.
Thank you. PSBA legislative report.
Our meetings this month. Next May, sorry, it's in May.
Thank you. Committee reports. Buildings, grounds, and safety.
We met on March 24th. I'm going to thank Vince and Pam for coming, along with Mr. Kiefer, Mr. Price, Mr. Basham. The board committee was there. We discussed the upcoming projects. Mr. Schaller at the last board meeting gave us updates on the projects. The only one he didn't mention was the track, which is, if you guys looked at your emails, is going to start June 18th or around there, right, Pam?
Yes, as a matter of fact, the gentleman emailed us today, and he's going to come and do a walkthrough with Mr. Boring on Monday.
Okay, thank you. From the security point, Mr. Kiefer had a little list of things that he would like. Radios, some updated cameras. I can't remember the thing that he wanted for the doors in the buildings. So, yeah, that goes underneath. So that's I think we're going to have to work with the business office at budget time. Other than those projects that Mark discussed last week, I'm going to bring attention to the board. The 707 policy was discussed. So at these events, these 707 events, the personnel there, maintenance, security, custodians, and their salary isn't covered by the 707 fee. So I don't know if the majority of the board knew that, I'm just bringing it to their attention. I know some of us changed that policy a few times. Dr. Flake worked on it before. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the board. So 707 is going to need reworked. So, financially we can cover their salaries.
Can I go next since I can comment on that?
Yeah, I don't know if Michelle has anything to...
I think that was all. Have you gotten with Mr. Kiefer about those items he wanted to be placed in the budget for him this year?
I have some of them. I sent him some information, I believe on Tuesday, Wednesday this past week. So we're looking at some of the items that he's got on there as far as staffing and all that type of information goes.
Thank you. You wanted to go next with the personnel policy.
Yeah, we did the personnel policies and academic policy committee met on April 19th with Dr. Clara and Mr. Krofcheck and Mrs. Colbank. And the first thing I'll address is, Mr. Polakowski, we did talk about 707. It was part of the ones that we reformatted right now, but the ones that you're talking about are actually the administrative regulations that say what is charged, what the groups are. So we have actually, Mr. Masha and some of the admin, we requested that they start to rework that so that those charges are covered by someone and not our budget, which is always over budget. So he and Mr. Boring and Mr. Krofcheck and Dr. Claire, I believe, have been working on them. I saw a draft of what they've been working on, and it looks like it will address the issue that you're talking about. We do have another policy meeting, which we wanted to go over that with our committee, and the building and grounds, since it kind of affects you guys, should probably be part of that too if you guys want to.
Okay.
But it's definitely being addressed as one of the more important ones. Because I also received some information and some negative and positive aspects of it that the custodians and the security do not have the budget to cover these things. And they're just kind of left flailing when they have to. So it definitely needs reworked, and it is being worked on.
It was mentioned in our meeting that 707 is the policy. We have community members using the facilities. It's their tax money, and that's sort of like a tricky subject. You can't you can't jack that price up.
Right.
But I just wanted to mention that.
The other thing we discussed with Mr. Krofcheck and Dr. Claire and Mrs. Colbank specifically were some of the questions that had come up about gym classes and the policies that go along with those, how it's addressed in the classes, how there's a discrepancy between people who miss because of sports and someone who misses maybe because they have the flu for a week, and how it's made up. Mr. Krofcheck did say that when the kids are told at the beginning of the school year that if they're going to miss an extended amount of time, they are allowed to ask for paperwork to make that up. However, that is not in the written policy that they're given. So he did say that it would be a good idea to have that in the written policy for the kids, because they probably don't remember that they're able to do that. But he brought up what it means to actually be dressed for gym class. And Mrs. Geyer brought up that some of these kids are going to have to get used to getting dressed for gym class because no one's been dressing at the middle school. So it's not just going to be an easy, okay, you're going to start dressing for gym class again when you're in 9th grade. And Mr. Krofcheck brought up what it means to be dressed for gym class. And he said he was going to address that with the teachers, because to him, if you have tennis shoes on and you can participate, you should be able to participate. So that is something that he was going to bring up with his staff. We also talked about curriculum and the curriculum mapping that has or hasn't been taking place since before the pandemic. That's something that they're working on getting going again. They talked about doing departmental coordination and meetings between like all of the math teachers, also doing grade level meetings to try to ensure that there's consistency between what is being taught, that the middle school knows what expectations are for the 9th graders going up to the high school. This also goes along with the grading policy at the high school, which is still being looked at and worked on, correct, Is that the same thing you'd say? So we had talked before about how some teachers are holding fast to that policy that was put in place by Dr. Scott years ago. Some do not. And the consistency between that is very difficult for kids. You can get one teacher and your GPA goes down because they grade one way and different for another teacher. So he said that he is still looking at that, trying to find solutions that will benefit all of the kids. We said our suggestion was it just has to be, you have to tell them what the expectations are at the beginning of the year. Kind of like colleges have syllabuses or syllabi. Here's your syllabus, this is how we grade, this is how many points this is what is expected of you, so that everyone knows what's going on from the very beginning. So that was kind of our suggestion, but that is still something that they are looking at and trying to coordinate between staff and teachers for next year. That's all.
Finance District Operations and Transportation. I know that Mrs. Mondok's been working with Bus Boss and getting that transitioned over, as well as CSIU. So she's been fairly busy, and we've not had another meeting since our first one. Just going to arrange that for next week. And Mrs. Geyer, would you please set in on that so that there's 3 of y'all, since I won't be able to be there. You can just let her know as well. Non-academic athletics and extracurricular. Can anybody report on that?
Our last meeting was April 4th, and I think we reported at the April meeting. Let me think. This is the April meeting. So at the April 4th meeting we met, and it was just a review of basically following up on some of the issues that we had raised at the March meeting. And I can't recall anything new.
No, we talked about the construction of a building up on top of the hill for the sports teams, track, baseball, with the CWCTC kind of taking the lead on that, possibly, and kind of making that a reality, because I know it's not in good shape, the building up there. I think we revisited adding a trap shooting team as well for next school year. Hopefully we can. That could also be a reality. Looking at that further.
Is that all you have? Sorry, I hate to put you guys on the spot because Nicole's not here. Does anybody else have anything under committees? Okay. Brighton, if you have things for school, you're welcome to go.
Oh, I'm good.
Policies.
At the March 10th, 2022 board voting meeting, the following policies were approved to be posted for 30 days. The board is asked to approve the updated posted policies.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Fike? Yes. Mr. Frund?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Delalo Office Warehouse Property Assessment Appeal.
At the recommendation of the solicitor, the board is asked to authorize Mark Schoenberg, MAI, to perform appraisals on Delilo Office and Warehouse property located at 221 West Tech Drive and 1108 Old Route 119, East Huntington Township, Westmoreland County, at a cost of $4,000 each.
Need a motion?
Some discussion. Oh, sorry. I apologize. We're out of order. Go ahead.
Don't confuse me.
So moved.
Need a motion? I need a second. Discussion. Do you have anything to say?
I have nothing to present.
So I can't remember. When was that last appraisal done? Is that the one that's like a year and some old?
So I can't remember the exact date that appraisal was issued, but it was prior to the current building being developed. So their current appraisal value of over 11 million it was prospective in nature.
Is this that one, or is this the other? Or is that the other one? Because I didn't know, is there a new building on the Delalo property?
Oh, you're right. I think I'm conflating the two. That might be the crossroads. No, I'm sorry. I take back what I said. I misstated that. I'm confusing it with a separate real estate assessment appeal that's pending right now. I can find those dates for you, Dr. Fike, and provide.
I ask, it's $8,000. If I remember, it was just done about 15 months ago.
I don't think we have it. We were not provided a copy of the appraisal for Delalo. We had a copy of the appraisal for the other one, which was just a year ago.
So we don't know when this was last
No,
appraised.
the only thing that was in last week was just an assessment of what the current is, what the appeal was for, and what
Right.
the potential changes could be. There was nothing attached that, it was just saying that he could provide a review of their appraisal that they have, or we could obtain our own, but there was no actual.
Right. So I didn't produce the physical appraisals. There are two appraisals for both the warehouse and also the office space portions. And I informed you on the potential tax consequences should those appraisals be accepted as accurate, and should those assessments be put in place, overriding the current assessments. So based on that information, I was requesting that the school district move forward with retaining Mark Schoenberg's services, and he can provide appraisals of both properties at a rate of $4,000 each, which, given the potential tax consequences to the school district, I thought was appropriate.
Is there any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Shipley.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mr. Frund.
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer.
Yes.
Mr. Lizza.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Potential graduating class of 2022.
The board is asked to approve the list of potential graduates of the class of 2022.
I need a motion.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Can this be a voice vote or just that anything?
Doesn't involve the finance.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Application for early graduation.
Board is asked to approve a current 11th grade student's application, student number 101464, for early graduation per policy 217 at the end of the student's first semester of the senior year, as per the recommendation of the school counselor.
Need a motion?
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Is this the recommendation of the administration too? It doesn't say that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? CWCTC budget.
Board is asked to approve the 2022-2023 proposed CWCTC budget resolution.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Frund.
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer.
Yes.
Mr. Lizza.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mr. Shipley.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith. Yes. Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Student discipline issue.
The board is asked to approve the adjudication determination as attached in the student disciplinary matter for the student number 101992.
I need a motion to table this.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Geyer.
Yes.
Mr. Lizza.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mr. Shipley.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith. Yes. Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mr. Frund.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion is to table this item. Is approved. Vote 8, 1 absent.
Recognition of understanding between SEF and SSD.
The board is asked to formally recognize the formation of the Southmoreland Education Foundation.
Need a motion?
So move.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Polakowski? Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Frond?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries. 8 yes, 1 absent.
Additional donations in memory of Coach Frederick.
The board is asked to approve an additional $300 in donations in the memory of Coach Frederick. The donations are to be assigned to the Southmoreland football program.
I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Frond?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries. 8 yes, 1 absent.
Donations in memory of retired teacher and Coach Gilpin.
The board is asked to approve receipt of donations in the amount of $1,225 in the memory of teacher and Coach Gilpin. The donations are to be assigned to the Southmoreland athletic program.
I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Frond?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries. 8 yes, 1 absent.
Donation from Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 3368.
The board is asked to approve the donation of $500 from the Veterans of Foreign War Post 3368 to help replace track items stolen.
I need a motion.
Make the motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Frond?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries. 8 yes, 1 absent.
Donation from AMVETS Ladies Auxiliary 103, Hopwood, PA.
The board is asked to approve the donation of 40 one-gallon jugs of hand sanitizer. 10 gallons are designated for each school.
That's okay. I need a motion.
So move.
I need a second. Discussion?
I thought we had Esther's money for stuff like this. I don't get this one. I
It
don't.
was just simply a donation, Dr. Flake.
We didn't request it.
Yeah.
No, I
we-
know, I know.
Just
but
out of the blue? They just
Yeah.
donated it? Yeah.
They just donated it out of the blue.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Fike?
Yeah.
Mr. Frond?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries. 8 yes, 1 absent.
Paving project.
The board is asked to approve A. Folino Construction, Inc. as the lowest bidder for the Southmoreland School District paving project at a base bid of $107,349.54 for the high school and $167,860.04 as the alternate bid for the paving at the middle school and elementary school. The board is also asked to choose which contract option will be awarded. These options are option 1, base bid only, option 2, base bid plus alternate bid.
So I need a motion to include which option?
I'll make a motion for option 2, the base bid and the alternate bid.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Frond?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries for option 2, 8 yes, 1 absent.
P-TEX letter of authorization.
The board is asked to approve the continuation of Keytex as the district's buying agent for the purpose of obtaining electric generation service.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Geyer. Yes. Mr. Lizzo.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mr. Shipley.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith. Yes. Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mr. Friend.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Booster Club guidelines.
The board is asked to authorize the administration to post for 30 days draft policy 915 and the attached Booster Club guidelines. The current active policy 915 is included as a comparison.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Masha, who worked on this?
On the Booster Club guidelines,
I did. The reason I did it was because Mr. Boring had contacted me. There was a group of parents that were interested in forming a boosters, but they needed to know how to do it. So that's why I worked on the information for them.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lizzo.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mr. Shipley.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith. Yes. Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mr. Friend.
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer. Yes. Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
United Concordia and National Vision Administrator rates 2022-2023 fiscal year.
the board is asked to approve the new National Vision Administrator's rate for the 2022-2023 year of $2.68 for singles, $4.34 employee plus one, $7.77 employee plus two or more per month. The board will also be asked to approve our new United Concordia rates for the 2022-2023 year of $29.37 for employee only, $87.42 for employee plus spouse, employee plus children, employee plus family. Rates are per month.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Is this the same plan that we have in place now? Correct. So it's a continuation of last year's plan, just a difference in rates?
Correct.
How much did those rates go up? You know.
Off the top of my head, that I don't know. I can tell you how much the medical did, but this I don't know off the top of my head.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mr. Shipley.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith. Yes. Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mr. Friend.
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer. Yes. Mr. Lizzo.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Camco Physical and Occupational Therapy.
The board is asked to approve the renewal of the agreement with Camco Physical and Occupational Therapy for continued services for students with special needs.
I need a motion.
So move.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
I looked at the rate, and this is, if they were to work a day, it's like $500 a day. Is that what we've been paying? If they worked the whole day, times the hourly rate, it's like $500 a day. Is that the same thing we've been paying?
I do believe it was.
I'll have to double check on that and get
We'd have
back
to
to you
look.
with that information to be sure.
So
I think it was on
$66
last
per hour.
week's.
Hourly rate, and I multiplied it, and then tried to figure out what they charge.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Shipley.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith. Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mr. Friend.
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer.
Yes.
Mr. Lizzo.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Extended school year.
The board is asked to approve the extended school year ESY schedule. Number one, SPC site, July 11th through July 28th, Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m., 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Number two, SES site, June 27th through June 30th, and then again July 11th through July 21st, Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Number 3, SMS site, July 11th through July 28th, Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. SHS site, July 11th through July 28th, Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Staff times will be 8:30 to 12:30. Student times will be 9 to 12.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Mrs. Mondock, this is part of the budget for next year?
It actually is funding that we have through IDEA. We've received an additional amount, so that will more than cover it.
Okay. I know that this is a separate thing, but was there any talk of doing what we did last year for the elementary and primary students during the summer?
Not at
The
this,
remediation.
not at this point, no.
Do you think that that is something that you're considering still, or it's too late in the year now?
We have not administratively had any discussions about that, but I would gladly bring it up with the other administrators. At this point in time, we did not
I was
really.
just curious.
Yeah, we did not have a discussion about it.
Except for that 1 year, isn't that something we have every summer? Have we not had it every summer?
ESY?
Yes, why we?
We've only
No,
ever
no, no, I'm
had,
talking about what she was talking about, the, just the regular.
there was only 1 year,
Yeah,
COVID year.
that was last year.
ESY, we've always had one.
No, that's special ed. I'm talking about what she was talking about, Michelle.
No, it's
Regular,
just 1 year.
regular summer school, right?
1 year.
We're talking about regular summer school. Don't
One-
we usually have that?
No.
No,
That
no,
was just last year.
just last year. Are you going to look at our test scores to determine failure rates or deficiencies to see if you need what we need?
They'll be presented. That information is going to be printed.
That should guide our decision, I would think.
And the MAPS testing, the end of year may change.
Was summer school very well attended the year, last year that we did it?
There were a lot of kids. It was
A lot of
huge,
kids.
Remember, yeah.
huge, huge.
What are the options for kids who may be looking at being held back if we don't hold a summer school or whatever we're calling it? What's the choices
At
then?
the high school, they have the option of taking on the online classes. At the middle school, I'll be totally honest with you right now, that's pretty limited, and at the elementary, that's fairly limited.
So just retention is on the choice.
Are there other districts that offer summer school that these kids can attend? Like, I know there are districts who offer summer school.
Yeah.
So I think that's where our kids have been going.
Does it?
I was gonna
Hempfield
say
does.
Hempfield used to do it every,
Right.
AGs did, yeah.
Which, I mean, even if you were a Hempfield student, you had to pay.
Yes.
yep.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Well, and I believe that the SOLA classes that Mash is talking about, if they don't pass them, they then have to pay for that class. If they pass them, they don't have to, I believe. Is that right?
We made
think that was
provision.
last
That was
year.
last
For last year.
That was learning. That was just learning loss last year.
any other discussion on this? Roll call?
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Friend?
Yes.
Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
2022-2023 MOU for Pre-K Counts Program.
The board is asked to approve the MOU between Southmoreland School District and the Private Industry Council to continue operations of the Pre-K Counts program in the Southmoreland Elementary School for the 2022-2023 school year. Term of the MOU is from August 1st, 2022 to the end of June 30th, 2023.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call?
Dr. Fike?
No.
Mr. Friend?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Yes. Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 7 yes, 1 no, 1 absent.
New Directions Program for 2022-2023 school year.
Board is asked to approve the renewal of an agreement with New Directions for the 2022-2023 school year. New Directions is a licensed private academic school and licensed partial hospitalization program offered by Chestnut Ridge Counseling Services.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Need a second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Frund?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer? Yes. Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Yes. Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Approval for emergency work needed on high school facade.
Board is asked to approve emergency work needed on the high school facade by Wilson Restoration Incorporated in the amount of $13,250.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Geyer? Yes. Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Frund?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Approval for gym floor resealing at the high school and elementary building.
Board is asked to approve the epoxy and sealing of the high school gym floor by Fagan Sanitary Supply at a cost of $5,857.31, and the sealing of the elementary school gym floor by Fagan Sanitary Supply at the cost of $3,511.83.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski? Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Frund?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Approval for infrared roof inspection, high school and Scottsdale complex.
Board is asked to approve an infrared roof inspection by NDS non-destructive surveys of the high school and Scottsdale complex at a cost of $5,500.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
I have 2 questions. Are they going to do this pretty soon? And will we get a report pretty soon? You know?
Yes. The reason why they're doing it, they've already given us, Garland has already been here that reported to us last week.
Right.
Has already given us a report, and basically what they're doing is they're going to double check and make sure that their assumptions in these reports are indeed correct instead of doing like a core test where you actually have to cut into the roof.
Right.
You do this so that...
But they showed us that stuff on the screen, Pam, but I didn't see anything on paper.
Well, they can't give us a report on the infrared.
Will they, that will
They will, yes, absolutely.
Because that was all we got, was that.
Yeah,
And
but
are they going to do that follow-up stuff pretty quickly?
yes.
Because they said some of the roof is dry and it's wet underneath.
Right, and that's what they're trying to determine. That is correct.
Is there any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Frund?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Request to advertise for bids for athletic supplies.
Board is asked to authorize the athletic department to place an advertisement for bids for athletic supplies for the 2022-2023 school year. The dates for advertisement will be decided after all bid lists are received from the coaching staff and reviewed.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Pam, is that already budgeted for next year? Do they know how much they're going to have?
That part, I don't have, no one has provided me with any information as
Have to
far as
look at
dollar
and try
amounts.
to fit it in then.
What I basically did this year, I gave them their athletic budget, and they've already worked. I've also, when I provided them with the athletic budget, as I showed you guys in that meeting, what I did was I gave them 4 years of history, and then I showed them an average spend so that they would know exactly how they had spent the money, and that's...
Because prices are probably going to go up, and I'm just wondering.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part. I will tell you that the building budgets, athletic budgets, all those type discretionary items, I did hold those all flat this year, but unfortunately that, with inflation, that may not be.
Could be considerable.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Friend?
Yes.
Mrs. Dyer? Yes. Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Bidding of old district vans and unused items via municipal.
Board is asked to grant permission to sell one district 2005 Chevy van, VIN number 1GCGG291U951248342, one district 1997 Ford truck, VIN number 1FDHF2DHIVEC7335, and unused food service items to be placed for bid via municipal bid.
Need a motion?
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion?
Michelle, since this is a roll call vote, is it going to cost us something to do this activity? It's going to cost us money to sell this stuff, is that right?
They get a portion of what we sell it for. They get
No, is it going to cost us money is my question.
Well, we're selling something and they're going to keep part of what we would make on it. Yes. And I'm sure that there's a price to put on municipal bid. I mean, it's not free.
Yeah, what they,
service.
my understanding in talking with Mrs. Colbanks, because she's utilized them for the municipality, for the borough, and she said what they do is they charge a certain percentage of what you actually sell an item for.
Oh, we have to pay municipal bid to do this?
Correct.
That I didn't get that. Okay, that's what my question was. Paying somebody to sell this stuff. Okay, thank you.
Business office in charge of this process of putting everything on there.
Well, what we're going to do is I'm going to have someone take pictures of, I'm going to be working with Mrs. Colbank and having her help me do that, yes, because to be honest with you, she's done this process before. I have not, so I asked her if she would assist, and she's gladly offered her services.
I know there's a list of items here, but previously this board has brought to the attention of like locker rooms that are filled with other equipment. So I think there needs to be some add-ons to this.
Agreed. And once we get our feet wet and start this process, then yes, by all means, we're going to work on getting rid of some other things, because why continue to keep them here when we could obviously use the space and the revenue, quite frankly, for what we're going to sell the items for.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
Is there any other discussion?
yeah, what's the cost for this?
That, to be honest with you, Mr. Lizza, I'm not 100% sure. I know it is a certain dollar amount that they have. I can look into that and get you that information for the exact items that we're going to be selling.
Yeah, please do, because I know in the transit authority, I'm on the board over there, and we're selling the old buses. We just put it in the paper.
Well,
People take bids on it.
Yeah, and that's basically what they'll do here. This is more of an online type
We didn't have to
situation.
pay anything to get somebody to do it, and you could do it herself. It'd be easier, right?
And right. And basically, that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a picture of it. We're going to put all of the pertinent information, and you put it on municipal bid, and then it goes out throughout the entire state.
Mrs. Mondock, just to clarify, is there any cost to actually listing the item? So say hypothetically you put an item up on the municipal bid, no one bids and it isn't sold. Is there any cost to the district under that scenario?
I will have to check that out, to be honest.
Call on me. On the website now, it says you keep 100% of the sale. It's completely free for you to auction your assets on municipal bid. You always keep 100% of your proceeds and never need to send us money. Which is strange because I assume that someone's processing
Yeah,
money
and-
somewhere,
and-
but
There's a
there's
buyer's
no
fee.
hidden fees or commissions.
gonna say
Bidders
there-
pay us
I
a
know there's a-
competitive buyer's fee and then pay you 100% of the winning bid.
So the buyers assume the cost.
Because I was going to say, I know Mrs. Colbanks told me there was a fee, so that's where the fee comes into play.
Yeah.
Depends on the price. Yeah.
Goes from 9 to 4%.
So the buyer
Buyer.
pays that though, not
Buyer's
us.
fees. Yes. And it goes up depending on how much you're
you
selling
spend.
something for.
And to be honest with you, these vehicles that we are selling, they currently are not in running condition, so I'm not sure what we're even going to get for them at this point, but it's just something we need to get rid of them. We need to keep as much of the funds as we can, and that's what we're hoping to do.
But besides the fact that they're non-operational, they're in
Correct.
pristine condition, so please bid high.
He's a solicitor and a salesman.
Nobody.
That was good. That was good.
Nobody work necessary.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, since it's been determined that there is no cost for this, we are still selling off school district property. Do we not have to have a voice vote to
let's
sell
just voice
school
vote it, that's fine.
district property?
Yeah, also, it does say on here, Mr. Delacroix, that it says, do we still need to run a legal advertisement or a notice? And it's a question for our solicitor in their FAQs. So, view sample.
So I'm looking, is this under the executive session?
No, this is just on their
That's
website,
on
Oh,
Municipal's website.
All right.
like where we might have to advertise somewhere in a newspaper that we are currently accepting bids for sale. There's a
Through municipal.
through Municipal.
Oh, well, if that's their own advertisement, I would suggest tabling the issue for now, and I can look at it. I'm under the impression that such a thing isn't necessary because we're not discussing you expending funds. It's them taking a portion of the sale price. But we may want to, but if they are stating that it's their understanding bids need to go out, I think that's worth looking at, if that's what they're
I just
actually
mean,
advertising on their site.
Do we need to advertise in the newspaper that we're selling these items? I guess.
I don't believe so, no.
All right, let's do it.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Friend?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Bidding of RTUs.
The board is asked to approve the selection of AON units for the RTU bids to be prepared by Eccles in conjunction with HF Lens.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. So I have a question because I'm still confused on this, Mrs. Mondock. So these Aon units, is that the name brand? So now we're saying that we only want Aon units, or is that because these could be any different unit, right? Like we're just saying that we want a standard unit, not a custom unit.
That is correct.
So when we say Aon, is that a standard unit or is that a particular name brand? Because I thought that was a particular name brand. Because obviously that's two different bids.
Correct. Let me look at the information that I sent
Yep.
you all last
So
week.
I think we just need to have it be to approve the selection of
The standard units? Okay.
We can amend the motion just to read standard unit, not specifically
Okay.
Aon unit, and that
Okay.
would address the issue. So
Okay.
we just need a motion to amend.
Can somebody make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to amend to read, instead of Aon units, just standard units.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion on that. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, now I need a motion to approve.
Correct. vote on the regular motion now.
I need a motion to approve the selection of standard units for RTU bids to be prepared by Eccles in conjunction with HF Lens.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
We're going to notify them of this change?
Yep. Actually, I just wrote the note on my list of things for me to accomplish tomorrow.
Roll call.
Mr. Friend.
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer.
Yes.
Mr. Lizza.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mr. Shipley.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries. 8 yes, 1 absent.
Hiring of administrative assistants.
The board is asked to approve the hiring of Sonia Zarowski as the SES Principal Administrative Assistant at a salary of $35,360 plus benefits, and Amanda Springer as SES Building Administrative Assistant at a salary of $33,280 plus benefits. All clearances are current and on file with the administration. The board is also asked to approve both employees working 15 training days, 5 days in May and 10 days in June at the discretion of the building principal and at the per diem rate of their new administrative assistant salaries. These per diem rates are as follows: Amanda Springer, $128, and Sonia Zarowski, $136 for those training days. The official starting date as administrative assistants for both employees will be July 1st, 2022.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Friend.
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer.
Yes.
Mr. Lizza.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mr. Shipley.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 7 yes, 1 pass, 1 absent.
High school yearbook sponsor.
Board is asked to approve the hiring of Desiree Pollard as the Southmoreland High School Yearbook Advisor at a supplemental salary of $3,077.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lizza.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mr. Shipley.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mr. Friend.
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Resignation of working building and grounds maintenance director.
Board is asked to accept the resignation of Charlie Basham as the Southmoreland School District Working Building and Grounds Maintenance Director effective May 6, 2022, and authorize the administration to advertise for the position.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
We can have a chance to talk to him about this.
Talk to.
We have an exit interview, find out what the problem is.
I've already asked him about the next interview, yes.
Is he going to have one?
I supposed to reach out.
Because we can't solve the problems if we don't know what they are. So I would vote for this on the condition that there's an exit interview.
You're going to hold him hostage. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mr. Shipley.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mr. Friend.
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer.
Yes.
Mr. Lizza. Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Resignation of SHS marching band equipment hauler.
Board is asked to accept the resignation of James Springer as the SHS Marching Band Equipment Hauler effective June 1st, 2022, and authorize the posting and advertising of this position at the extracurricular supplemental salary of $750 for the 2022-2023 school year.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Shipley.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mr. Friend.
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Resignation band percussion instructor.
The board is asked to accept the resignation of Taylor Gephardt as percussion instructor with the marching band effective immediately and authorize the posting and advertising of this position at the extracurricular supplemental salary of $1,400 for the 2022-2023 school year.
I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Smith? Yes. Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Frund?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Resignation of assistant marching band director.
The board is asked to accept the resignation of Jude Gore as the assistant marching band director at the conclusion of the current marching band season and authorize the posting and advertising of this position at the extracurricular supplemental salary of $1,931 for the 2022-2023 school year.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Frund?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Resignation of head girls high school volleyball coach and head girls middle school volleyball coach.
The board is asked to accept the resignation of Mrs. Heather Meyer as the head girls high school volleyball coach and the head girls middle school volleyball coach effective immediately. The board is asked to approve the posting and advertising of these supplemental coaching positions as follows. Girls high school volleyball head coach, $5,100 for the 2022-2023 school year, and girls middle school volleyball head coach, $2,972 for the 2022-2023 school year.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Frund?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Yes. Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Resignation of high school assistant coach, high school and middle school.
The board is asked to accept the resignation of Leanne Richter as assistant volleyball coach for the high school and middle school assistant volleyball coach effective immediately. The board is asked to approve the posting and advertising of the supplemental positions as follows. High school assistant volleyball coach, $3,200 for the 2022-2023 school year. The middle school assistant volleyball coach, $2,553 for the 2022-2023 school year.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Yes. Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Frund?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Posting of varsity football assistant and middle school coaches.
The board is asked to approve the posting and advertising of the following positions at the request of Mr. Boring, AD. Varsity football supplementals for the 2022-2023 school year. First assistant, $5,425, and 3 football assistants at $4,600 each. Middle school head coach, $4,180, and middle school assistant, $2,800.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Is this both internal and external, or it goes in the newspaper and the school, and it's posted internally?
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Yes. Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Friend?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Volunteer football coaches.
The board is asked to approve the following volunteer football coaches. All clearances are up to date and on file with administration. Jack McCloy, Shane Swope, Mike Thompson, Joseph Perger, and Randy Jordan.
So move.
Need a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Friend?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Day-to-day cafeteria substitute.
The board is asked to approve the hiring of Caitlin Peterman as a day-to-day cafeteria substitute at a rate of $10.25 per hour on an as-needed basis. All clearances are current and are on file with the administration.
I need a motion.
So move.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Friend?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Retirement of Brenda Kurth cafeteria.
The board will be asked to accept the retirement of Brenda Kurth, cafeteria worker, effective June 2nd, 2022, and authorize the internal posting for bidding and subsequent posting of any vacant position resulting from a successful bid. This is a 5.25-hour position.
Need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Friend?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Approval of day-to-day secretarial substitute.
The board is asked to approve the hiring of Amy Kessler as a day-to-day secretarial substitute at a rate of $10 per hour on an as-needed basis. Clearances have been updated and are on file.
I need a motion.
So move.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Friend?
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Approval to advertise for a replacement for Wilma Meyer, custodian.
Board is asked to authorize the posting and advertising for a custodian to fill the position of retiring custodian Wilma Meyer.
I need a motion.
So move.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion?
Does it need to say full-time position?
Pardon me? Is it a full-time position?
I said, does it need to say full-time position? Because the other one said 5.25. I mean, I know personally that's what she is. Yeah.
This is custodian.
That context would help, so an amendment to insert those words would be appropriate.
Who made the motion?
Mr. Lizza made the motion, Mr. Friend second.
Mr. Lizza, will you please amend your motion?
Yes. Go ahead.
So the board will be asked to authorize the posting and advertising for custodian to fill the position of retiring custodian Wilma Myers. This is an 8-hour position. Any other discussion? So I need a voice vote to approve the amendment to the motion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, and now I need a motion to approve. The board is asked to authorize the posting and advertising for custodian to fill the position of retiring custodian Wilma Meyer. This is an 8-hour position. I need a motion.
So move.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Geyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lizza?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Yes. Dr. Fike? Mr. Friend?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
Resignation of custodian Jessica Provlik.
Board is asked to accept the resignation of Jessica Provlik, part-time custodian, effective March 17, 2022, and approve the posting and advertising of this 4-hour custodial position.
I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Sorry, I didn't hear who made the motion. Okay.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lizza,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Shipley,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Fike, Mr. Frund,
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 absent.
I need a motion for a 5-minute recess to allow people to call in for citizens' comments. The phone number for call-in is 724-640-2609. And I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I need a motion to go back into session.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Did we have anybody call in? Okay. And we have
I do.
one? Okay.
Elizabeth Mitchell.
You guys hear me?
We
I
can.
think the mic might be turned on. Is it on? Is it on?
Is it on?
Okay.
Can you hear
Sorry.
me? Okay. Hello, my name is Elizabeth, and I have 3 students in the school district. I would like to read you a letter I wrote about my son's experience here. Today, I want to discuss a very important topic with you. On Tuesday, April 26th, my son came home from school, upset, in shock, and terrified. In class, his teacher had been recorded bullying my son. This is not the first time my son was humiliated by this teacher and made to feel like he was not enough. The teacher's comment, "I am glad I'm not your father," to which my son replied, "I don't have a dad," making kids laugh behind him, saying he was fatherless. Students began to bully my son, resulting in him having to move tables at lunch to avoid the taunts. Fast forward to Tuesday, my son was screamed at and belittled for over 9 minutes, 7 of which he was left alone in the classroom being screamed at. He was met with the words such as baby and being asked, "What is your malfunction?" With anger streaming from his voice, he physically picked up my son in his desk and moved him while he continued to scream at him. I can picture my son sitting at his desk, looking up to a grown man, spit flying out of his mouth like a crazed man who can't control himself. Who is protecting these students? Who is protecting our children? The truth is they're protecting each other. These children have suffered the most in these last 2 years. From losing family to not being able to see friends. Their whole world was flipped upside down. And now they have a full school week, their friends and family close by again. And this is what they come back to? The Southmoreland bullying policy reads as follows. According to the Southmoreland School District Policy 249, bullying means an intentional electronic, written, verbal, or physical act or series of acts directed at another student or students, which occurs in a school setting and or outside a school setting that is severe, persistent, or persuasive and has the effect of the following. Substantial interference with the student's education, creation of a threatening environment, substantial disruption of the orderly operation of the school. To me, what happened to my son and other children whose parents came to me with similar stories is textbook definition of bullying. Not to mention the mental and verbal abuse he was subjected to in front of all of his classmates. He was called an inconsiderate moron. If you look that up in the dictionary, it means a stupid person. If this was your child, how would you handle this? How would you feel comfortable sending your kid to the school? As his parent, it is my job to keep him safe, and I trusted Southmoreland School District to make sure my child was encouraged, treated fairly, and protected from this kind of abuse. And I was sadly wrong. I hope one day to have complete faith in our school system. My kids have had so many great teachers who go above and beyond for their students, and for that I'm so grateful. But the response to my son's malfunction was completely out of hand and he had many other outcomes he could have proceeded with instead of the one he chose to take. Please teach your children to speak up. Please make them know that every word and every snicker and every comment do not define who they are. Let them know that their potential and how valuable they are in life, and never let them forget that. Even when an adult, a grown man, tries to tear them down. I have one last note, which I hope the school can help with. The kids in the classroom should be told what they witnessed was not normal behavior or expected. It was abuse, and it was bullying. At this time, they expect this behavior in our school district, and it needs to be corrected. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I need a motion to adjourn. A motion to adjourn. Okay.
This is for the attorney. Is it legal to discuss spending taxpayer money in executive session?
Under certain circumstances, yes, it is.
What are those circumstances?
When it relates to a legal issue,
A legal issue.
yes.
That would be,
It's, if you actually visit the policy itself, it discusses certain items that are permissible to discuss during executive session. And one is legal matters, which always have financial ramifications.
I'm familiar with the list. I think there are 9 of them, and money's not one of the ones that's listed under that code.
Not money specifically, but legal issues can be discussed.
So legal action would have been necessary before that could be done, is that right?
I would not agree with that characterization. Any discussion of something that has potential legal consequences, even if there is no complaint or if there's no case affiliated with it, are subject for review and topics of discussion under an executive session.
There's very little, Lee, that doesn't have potential for legal involvement that we discuss. Very little. I would say almost everything does, but we don't discuss finances and spending money, taxpayer dollars. Like I said, I reviewed the list of what you can't talk about, but I didn't see that on there.
Well, all legal cases do have potential financial ramifications. We had discussed some of these property assessment matters in executive session, which involves, potential costs to the district, and for that reason, you can't approve spending in executive session, but what you can do is make an agenda item that is published in advance to the public in compliance with the Sunshine Act and state what the financial consequences to the district. So as an example, today we had a vote to retain Mark Schoenberg to provide the district with 2 appraisals at a rate of $4,000 per appraisal. So that was a discussion we had at executive session that had financial ramifications to the district, but it was appropriate because it was affiliated with litigation. So yes, you can discuss.
I had asked the question before if the money that was being discussed was public, and the other attorney said, yes, that's public.
It depends on circumstances. You framed it in a very broad way. Under some circumstances, things with financial ramifications can be discussed in executive session, and then there are those where they can't be. I would say, based on my review of the agenda for our recent executive sessions, everything that was discussed was proper.
When we do a budget, we don't discuss whether or not there's going to be a tax increase in executive session. We do that publicly. It's public dollars we're talking about. That's just one example.
Correct. And an adjustment to a millage rate isn't legislation and doesn't have...
But we don't talk about that stuff in executive session. That's what I'm saying.
No.
That's public. And I asked if such expenses as could be potentially involved were public, and I was told yes.
So can I please say something? So anything that is discussed in executive session that has a financial dollar attached to it would not be approved by this board in executive session. It would be approved in the public before any money is spent, such as the $4,000 for the appraisals. That was discussed in executive. Now it's on the agenda and it's an approved item.
So nothing today was approved?
Nothing today was approved in executive? No.
That's okay.
I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?